how to make decisions with your human design.
Ooh, this is going to be a good one. Welcome to our living room and functional human design.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Reid.
What we're going to talk about today is authority. And they call it authority in human design, but really what it is how to make decisions. And in this world, in our current environment, we've all been taught to make decisions logically. Think through it, make sure you make solid decisions. And then there's all this pressure because of capitalism to make decisions now. And I was really surprised and have struggled with this greatly. Honestly, this is probably my biggest weakness within human design is learning how to make decisions emotionally. And that sounds so crazy because it goes against everything we've ever been taught. Yet 50% of humanity is defined in the solar plexus, which means it works best for us to make decisions emotionally. And there's a lot more to that. So just hold on to your britches.
Right?
So there are 7 different types of authority. And I actually pulled up like the numbers as to approximately, and these are all just approximates, somewhere between 50 and 58% of people are defined in their solar plexus. So if you have the solar plexus colored in your chart, then you are defined and you're an emotional authority. If you are not defined in the solar plexus, but you have the sacral, then you are a sacral authority, and this accounts for about 30 to 35% of humanity. And if you don't have either of those two defined, then you have the spleen that accounts for about 8% of society. Now there's 4 other definitions: the self-authority, the ego authority, the environmental authority, and the lunar authority. And the 4 of those combined only equal about 5% of humanity. Those 5% matter, and we're not going to cover them today.
Right?
because it's a lot to cover in one video. So today we're just going to cover the most primary 3, which is the emotional authority, sacral authority, and splenic authority.
So what helps us make decisions every day?
It's how our bodies function, because really we've all made decisions that we regret, where we're like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, or I wish I hadn't moved that quickly. And what I've realized in my body is that I have a tendency and have had a tendency to make decisions with both my sacral and my spleen, but I really need to be making decisions with my emotional authority. When the solar plexus is defined, this means that we're an emotional authority, and when our solar plexus is defined, making decisions emotionally doesn't mean that you make it at the high or at the low. It means when you have something that you're looking at, say you want to buy a new car or you want to move, you go through this entire wave of emotions, and you need to feel the highs, the excitement. What's it going to feel like to be driving that new car? What's it going to be like? How are you going to feel in that car? And then the other side is, oh shit, how am I going to pay for the insurance?
Yeah.
How am I going to afford the car?
How is that going to affect me on a regular basis until I have it paid off?
So it's that high and then the low. And when you come out of that and you make a decision from your middle ground, you make a lot more solid decisions. My rule of thumb is I don't make any decision beyond what I'm going to eat without sleeping on it. I know that I need to feel the highs, I need to feel the lows, and I need to sleep on it. So even if I've already gone through that entire process, once I have all the information, I need to at least sleep a full night or 2, sometimes a week or a couple weeks, to really know that this is what is right for me. And if someone is pressuring me to make a decision, then that automatically tells me that it's not correct for me.
When I first saw my design, I believed I was a splenic authority because of the time of day that I believed I was born. Then, as I began to experiment with it, I started to realize that when I make decisions out of my splenic authority, I was in a terrible place and I was emotionally distraught. I didn't know what time I was born. I didn't have a birth certificate till I was 15. So it was really important to be able to experiment and realize that I am a highly emotional person, which means, just like Jess, I need to take time. I need to sleep on it and really get a feel for what I'm actually getting into, so I'm not continuing to panic and try to operate out of my spleen, which is all about survival.
Well, and this is really important because there's a lot of people that don't have your exact birth time. You have your birth date, but you don't know when you were born. And that's not a problem. It's about just examining your chart and then asking yourself questions. Does this resonate with me? And you have to be a little bit more fluid when you look at the full day. In his date of birth, there were some pretty big variables. If he was born in the morning, he is a splenic authority. But if he's born in the afternoon, then he's an emotional authority. And this is where self-awareness comes in. If you don't have your birth time, it's really about which one resonates with me better and allowing the experiment to guide you on your journey. Since realizing, I was like, there's no way that you could be non-emotional because you're so emotional. I really think you were born later in the day. And when he made that shift, so many things became easier. So if you don't have a birth time, it's okay. Just be willing to experiment more, because you can look at your chart at different times within the day and have a much greater understanding. And sometimes the variables are pretty big, and that's important.
Yeah, sometimes it's easier to just work with the aura type to start. Just work with, how if yours is to respond, if yours, if you're a manifester and it's to
Inform.
thank you. It will help you tremendously. Just starting with what you know and starting to experiment. And I believe if I probably did it for a week, I would have been able to tell a whole lot. It doesn't take that long. When I started to experiment with being an emotional authority, it was so easy to see that was so fitting.
That you were feeling those waves of emotion, because if your solar plexus is defined, you really cannot hide from your emotions. They're pretty big. And if you are hiding from them, you're going to be feeling the pain of not expressing your emotions. Sometimes we get pretty deep into denial, where it's like maybe we're questioning that. But really, in your decision making, if you have the solar plexus defined, it's important to go through those waves. And if you have a partner or children that are emotionally defined and you are not, it's important to give them the space to be able to make those decisions, because any pressure is going to cause them to go deeper into chaos. And that really borders on like a sabotage behavior, because now you're forcing someone to make a decision, then they're clearly not ready to make that decision. So you ready to move on to the sacral?
Yep, let's go.
Okay, so with the sacral definition, everyone who is defined in the sacral is a generator. Some are manifesting generators, some are standard generators. And the difference between the two is all of them have the sacral defined. Manifesting generators have one of the four motors, that's the orange here. They have one of the four motors connected to the throat. So that's what makes a manifesting generator different than a generator, but all of them have the sacral. You cannot be a generator without your sacral being defined. So if someone they're a generator, but they're undefined in the solar plexus, they're going to be a sacral authority. The sacral's funny. You can always tell generators, or I can always tell when someone's a generator, because they grunt a lot. I grunt a lot. You get the yep, no. Like you get these deep grunts, and that is my sacral speaking. So if I'm going, I don't know, that's telling me that my sacral hasn't made a decision. And so sacral authorities can get to answers much quicker when they know how to get into their body and listen to those grunts. Now, a lot of times we've been stuck so much in headspace that we don't know how to get to a real answer, because Like we're trained to not listen to our sacral. So I do it like this. I would say, pretending Reid's a sacral authority, and he's not. So he's not, and he doesn't have the sacral defined. So it's going to be even harder for him to do it. This is an example of how it would work. I would ask him questions like, is your shirt black?
Yes, my shirt is black.
Yes. And I would encourage you to just answer in yes, no questions.
Yes.
So are you wearing glasses?
No.
Am I wearing glasses?
Yes.
Is this board purple?
Yes.
Are you sitting in our living room?
Yes.
And a sacral authority won't be saying yes, no. They will start grunting.
Mm-hmm.
Yup. Mm-mm. And when you get to those things, that's when you can ask the big question. Mm-hmm. Do you really want to buy this car? And once you have a few questions into them of solid yes or no, responding with their sacral, and they're like, yep, nope, yep, nope. And then you say, do you want to buy this car? And if they go, ooh, I'm not sure, I guarantee you they'll be able to feel their energy go from their sacral up to their head. And then you just got to start over again. Let's go back. Let's start with some good grounding questions. Like, are we filming right now? Yes. I grunt through all my answers because I have both the solar plexus and the sacral. And so the sacral is really helpful for me to make decisions, but it's not my final decision. I hear what my sacral says and then I sleep on it and I listen to my emotions. Mm-hmm. It's like I take the inventory from my spleen, from my sacral, and then I wait on it for my emotional decision. Cause what you're checking for is, does my sacral have the energy to say yes to this thing? Do I have the energy to commit to what I'm wanting to commit to? And if yes, your sacral will tell you. If not, you'll get those nope. Some people only have the solar plexus, some only have the sacral. Mm-hmm. And so the solar plexus can move very fast, but you have to really get deep into your body and be like, I'm going to ask my sacral these questions because it's really important to understand.
Here's another fascinating thing here. So the spleen and the sacral are about timing. It's in the now versus the solar plexus being, you got to wait for it. It's like you may know too much. It's almost like having this extra sensing because the solar plexus is actually connected to our nervous system. So we can be sensing something ahead of time with our solar plexus, where these are like in the now. When they come, we feel it. Right. Like that's what's so cool and fascinating to me.
Let's jump into the spleen because the spleen is the trickiest of them all. I truly believe, because the spleen is really quiet. The spleen is our center for intuition, and it's like knowing in the moment. And you really have to develop a relationship with your spleen. If you're a splenic authority, that means you don't have the solar plexus defined, you don't have the sacral defined, and the only thing of those three that you have defined is the spleen. And the spleen is very quiet.
It also has another effect. Mm-hmm. I just studied before we started because it was just like, is it just about it being quiet? It's actually a visceral effect sometimes. Like your body will literally move in a certain way. Like I see our son, now he's not splenic authority. Whether you're a manifestor or projector, it doesn't matter. If you're a splenic authority, you'll see like a visceral effect to, I'm going to go do this. And that is just fascinating to me because it starts with that stillness, but he listens to it. So you're seeing him listen to it and his body reacts to it and then he knows. And that's just like freaking amazing.
The spleen is absolutely incredible because it is intuition in the now, in the moment. Mm-hmm. And it is very, very quiet. Yeah. You don't wait for a splenic authority. Like you feel it, you know it, you do it. Mm-hmm. And it is that deep, quiet voice. And when you work with that, it is really profound as to how solid your decisions are. But it is quiet and it's in the moment. And it's just this whisper. So you have to really get into your body to be ready to just shift here, call this person now, do this thing now, change lanes now. And when you do that, it's absolutely profound.
So fascinating.
So what type of authority are you? And if you are
Yeah.
one of the other 4 types, let us know. We'll do a video on those, and we love you tons. I hope you're having a great day.
See ya.